and welcome to our channel. I am so happy that you are here with us today. I thought that there was no better time to do this video than right now, with all of us quarantined and spending more time at home than usual. So I am bringing you my absolute favorite tried and true chocolate chip cookie recipe. But they are not just your typical chocolate chip cookie, they are dairy-free chocolate chip cookies. And please don't let the phrase dairy-free scare you away. I promise that you will not notice a difference between these cookies and cookies made with butter. They are seriously amazing, they are addictive, and they are so delicious. My husband and I actually accidentally stumbled upon this recipe shortly after we got married about 8 or 9 years ago. And we were just looking for a recipe that we could both enjoy. I'm lactose intolerant and dairy and I just don't get along. So I found this recipe. It was not a dairy-free recipe, but I decided to make some substitutions, and let me tell you, it is seriously amazing, and like I said before, you cannot tell a difference. So let's get started. Let's bake some cookies together. Maybe this will give you and your kids or your family a fun little activity to do while we are all cooped up inside. I have to share this recipe book with you all. It is one of my absolute favorite recipe books that I have owned. I just love the quality of it. I love how it is separated by food type. So you've got a section at the beginning for soups and salads, and then it moves into starters and snacks. And you've also got side dishes, and we are gonna flip back here to desserts for today's recipe. I have written my recipe out for our cookies today, and I will definitely link this recipe in the description for all of you. Okay, so I just preheated my oven to 350 degrees, which is the first step. Then I am going to stir together my flour, baking soda, and salt and set that aside. So I'm going to go ahead and use our flours mixing bowl. This is one of our products from House and Holm, and it is one of my favorites. If you've seen our brownie video that we just did a few videos back, you also saw this bowl there, and it's just such a great staple to have, and it looks so beautiful on your countertops. Okay, so we're going to start with 1.5 cups of flour. I like to use a knife to kind of just like level off my flour and my sugar when I am measuring, just to make sure that I get a pretty accurate measurement. There are definitely times where I don't do this, but for the sake of this video, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So we've got 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I have not made these cookies gluten-free before, but I imagine you could probably use a flour substitution. I'm just not sure how well it would work. Okay, so we have our flour. Now we're going to do 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and set this aside. I will mix it here in just a few minutes, so I'm going to grab another bowl to mix my oil and my sugars and my egg together. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and measure out my sugars. we've got brown sugar, which really makes these cookies so chewy. There's more brown sugar in this recipe than there is granulated sugar. And I have run out of brown sugar before and tried to just use the granulated sugar, and they were not the right consistency. They were definitely not nearly as chewy as when I used both sugars. So we are going to go ahead and do a half a cup of light brown sugar, just kind of packed into the measuring cup. And then it calls for a quarter of a cup of granulated sugar. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of messy when I bake and when I cook. I just put stuff everywhere. I really should be a little more organized. But okay, so our sugars are in. I am finished with these canisters. I'm just gonna go ahead and set them out of the way over here. And now we are going to crack our egg, just one egg for this recipe. There we go. Okay, so now we are going to add vanilla, and it calls for 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I totally, like I said, I've made this recipe so many times. I definitely have it memorized, but doing it on camera here, I'm afraid that I'm gonna forget something. So that is why you'll find me looking back. I am gonna use vegetable oil. The recipe actually calls for vegetable oil. I have found that I like to use canola oil. They come out a little bit more gooey, I guess. But either oil is totally fine. This is what I have on hand today, so this is what I'm going to use. And a half a cup of vegetable oil is what it calls for. Guys, this recipe is so simple, which is why I love it so much, because if I wasn't standing here talking with you guys, I could whip these up in like 20 minutes. 10 minutes prep time, 10 minutes bake time. They are just so simple, so easy, and great to just put together really fast if friends are coming over or you're going somewhere and you want to take something. You do want to make sure that you get the chunks of sugar. Sometimes the sugar will kind of cluster together in little chunks, especially if it's not really fresh. I have had before, not now, but in the past I have used like some brown sugar or even the granulated sugar that had just been sitting out. Like it wasn't sealed all the way, or I had it for a long time, and I found that it's really hard to get those little clumps to separate, even with using like a whisk, or like sometimes you can like kind of break it apart like this. And so when you bake them, the cookies come out with that, like you'll bite and there'll be like a little cluster of sugar. I am not a professional baker, so I am totally not using all the right lingo, but all that to say, make sure that your ingredients are fresh. I don't know what that says about me, but it's just real life. Be honest with you guys and share what I have learned and how I have flopped in the past. Okay, so everything is wonderful and stirred together, mixed together. I'm gonna get rid of my whisk here, and I am going to mix everything together in our big mixing bowl. Going to grab my spatula, my lime green spatula. I have a funny story for you guys. When we got married, like almost 9 years ago, I don't know why, but this color green was like my favorite. It was in my wedding, my bridesmaids' dresses were this color, like everything. Our pots and pans are this color. I'm serious, to this day, we still have so much of this green in our house, and I like die over it right now because I don't know, it's just funny how over time your taste can change, and I definitely like more muted colors and more of that like eucalyptus green. Definitely nothing too bright. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it is just funny to see over time like how your taste changes. I don't know if you guys can relate to that. If so, definitely leave me a comment with like a funny story or something. I love reading your guys' comments. Actually, when these go in the oven, I'm gonna sit down for a minute and respond. I had a video that went live today. It was my coffee bar refresh, and I have seen the comments piling in, and I'm gonna take a few seconds to go and read those. It just brings such a smile to my face. Oh, our oven is preheated, perfect timing. This is almost all the way mixed up. But yeah, definitely leave me a comment if this video inspires you, or if you just have something that you want to share. So I'm gonna go ahead and grease my pan here pretty lightly. And then we are gonna scoop out little balls about a like 1 inch to 1.5 inches, and then we're gonna space them out about 2 inches apart. Okay, so I am gonna start scooping. I end up just, sometimes I use the spoon and sometimes I just grab it in with my hand, but this is about the size that you are going for. And then, like I said, we're gonna space them apart just about like 2 inches or so. They don't spread too terribly much, which is really nice because you can usually fit quite a bit on a pan. So the cookies are ready to bake. I'm gonna go ahead and put them in the oven. It is already preheated to 350 degrees, and they're gonna cook for about 10 to 12 minutes. In my oven, I find that it is closer to the 12-minute mark. So while these are baking, I am going to get my computer out and I'm gonna hang out with you guys in the comments for a little while. Okay, they're out of the oven. I'm totally cracking up because when I was showing them to you guys before I put them in, they kind of slid a little on the pan, so they are a little squished together in a few spots, but they look so good. I'm gonna let them cool for a few seconds before putting them on our cooling rack, and then after they cool for like 5-10 minutes, they are ready to eat, and they are best fresh out of the oven. So I thought it would be fun to go ahead and enjoy our chocolate chip cookies together and do a little Q&A for you guys. You haven't gotten to meet Chad yet, so this is my hubby Chad. Unless you watched the parody that he did a few days ago, that was him dressed up as me. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. It sounds kind of weird as I'm describing it, but I promise it is funny and it'll give you a good laugh, especially in times like these.
Spring is here!
So, we're just gonna have our cookies and we are going to answer a few questions. So, how and when did we meet? You wanna tell it?
Sure.
Okay.
So when we've actually gone to school together our entire lives since grade school. It was a small school, but we actually didn't really meet or converse until 7th or 8th grade. And we actually had a friend who, mutual friend, moved into the school district, and we both kind of befriended her, and Sky and I started talking through that. We ran in completely different circles. Yeah.
Okay, who was the nerd and who was the social butterfly? Do you have a guess? I was definitely the nerd.
But now, I was a nerd who was also a social butterfly. I had both.
True.
But
yeah.
But you were the introvert for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
We were in the marching band together. Okay, so yeah, we met through school. We grew up going to school together, and like Chad said, we didn't really even like notice each other until like the end of 7th grade, beginning of 8th grade. And we started dating. Then Chad asked me to be his girlfriend by sending me to the office, which, if you know me, that's like the most terrifying thing ever, because I never, ever, ever in school ever got sent to the office. And he had them call me to the office at school, and there was a big balloon, a smiley face balloon, and some really brightly colored flowers, carnations, I think.
Every woman's dream.
With a card that said, "Sky, I love you. Will you be my girlfriend?" And we have been together every single day since. So that is how we started. Our love story began.
Our parents actually, they live like a mile and a half apart to this day. So we grew up that close together, and again, didn't really even talk until 8th grade or so.
Yeah.
So
and funny. This is back in Illinois. So we'll share more of the story of how we got from Illinois to here in a different video. Yeah. But okay, so what do you like best about your spouse? You can go first.
I went first last time. This is your turn.
What I like best is that you are always keeping us laughing, and you always know how to put a smile on our face, and just, I'm saying our as in mine and the kids, but you just know how to cheer us up when we're down, and to make me not feel so overwhelmed and stressed out and anxious, which is like my go-to. You're also just so supportive in everything that I do, and I like so appreciate that about you.
Thank you. Love you. Let's see. So what do I like best about you? So for me, when Sky and I started dating, even in 8th grade when I was a dumb kid, some would still call me a dumb kid, I guess, but even in 8th grade, I knew Sky was like wife material, right? Like she was who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with.
Me blush.
I knew that she would be a phenomenal mom, and a great wife. She's very, very loyal, fiercely loyal. But yeah, so I mean, I could go on and on about the things that I love about Sky and what her best qualities are. But for me, the biggest thing was knowing that that she would just prioritize our family, our kids. I knew I wanted to have kids someday, and even in 8th grade, I was a good judge of character because I was right. She just loves fiercely, and thinks about our kids just day and night, and just takes amazing care of them. So so I'd say that's it.
Okay, that's very sweet. Thank you. Let's do a little more, couple like lighthearted things. Do you have a pet name for your spouse?
Not one I can say on camera for the whole I really.
There's a reason it's video like 5 or 6, and this is your big debut.
I don't necessarily, but you do.
I do.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I don't know when it started. I really have no idea, but I have been calling him Peachy and Peach since like high school.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have a pet name for your significant other? You should probably tell us so that I
Let
don't
us
feel
know
so
in the
awkward.
comments, because I have no clue where Peach came from. But if you have a good one and you know where it came from, please tell us your story.
Yes, we
because
would love to hear it.
yeah, I don't know how pet names even come. Like, it's just most people don't know. They just like
It's
say
so
it and it
weird.
sticks, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay, who's the best cook?
I'm gonna go ahead and say you. Mostly because you're the only one that cooks much anymore. We
Here.
both love to cook.
We both love to cook. We do.
I haven't cooked a whole lot lately.
You are the best griller, and I'm the best cooker. But really, I just don't grill, and he grills, and I cook.
So I'm the best of the worst because I'm the only?
Well, in our home, this is how we get our kids to eat things, okay? We say, this is mommy's famous chicken. And so, like, every meal,
It works.
it's like daddy's famous eggs, mommy's famous chicken, and we must be pretty good because our kids.
Toddlers
yeah.
love it.
Toddlers love it. Toddler
They eat it up,
approved.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just really quick say, okay, I have 3 more. Okay, what was your worst date?
You didn't give me these questions beforehand. I didn't get to
I
prep.
did not.
My,
I did though. If you want me to share this one.
My worst date. I don't know. With you, everything was rainbows and butterflies and sunshine. No, I will say I don't even remember what caused it. I remember we had an argument at in high school at a prom, at a dance.
We did. I think it was homecoming. I think I was wearing a pink dress.
Maybe. So
Yeah.
we were not seeing eye to eye on something at the time. I don't even remember what it was at this point. But we had an argument at a high school dance, so high school drama, right?
Guys, actually, it was so sweet because we left the dance. We are not big dancers. Like, we go for 5 minutes. Like, we win for like, you just like
An
show
appearance.
up.
It's an appearance.
Yeah. And then you leave. Bye.
Yep.
And you go home and like watch a movie or something. So that's what we would always do. But this night, I don't know what happened. Yeah, we just like, I was crying. I don't even remember. But he was driving me home to my parents' house, and he stopped. Like, my parents live out in the country, so he like stopped a ways down. There's like no houses. It's like, you know, farm, kind of. And he threw like one of my favorite songs on, like blasted it, said, get out of the car. We got out, and he danced with me in the middle of the street. It was the sweetest thing ever, and I'll never forget it. It was so sweet.
Jimmy Eat World for the win. Solve all your problems. Just saying.
So sweet.
Yep.
Okay, my worst date was my best worst date. Post children, when I had a stomach bug and I was like 30 weeks pregnant, and we went to the hospital, and we got to spend most of the night in the hospital because we hadn't been on a date in like 5 years, 4 years, almost. And so we were like, you know, I had a stomach bug, but we were making the best of it. And
So you were dehydrated, basically,
yeah.
and so we had to go to the hospital because we weren't sure exactly what was going on. We went to the hospital and had a friend come over and watch the kids. It was after bedtime, actually.
yeah, it was like midnight. It was really late.
But it was our first date in a long time, which I'm not proud of, by the way. We don't prioritize that. We need to. But
Yeah.
it was our first date in a long time, but it was in a hospital. Which is funny because I think the date before that was the last time we had a kid in a hospital.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was our last date.
Now, I will say, we don't get out of the house a lot to go on dates, which we probably should, but we do a lot of date nights in. So we like make a big deal out of it, get our favorite drinks, and like make something special. And after the kids go to bed, then we have like our date, like do a movie or whatever. So we do like prioritize time together. But yeah, we're not so great about getting out of the house. Okay, so hobbies, 1 or 2 of them, ready, set, go.
I have a lot of hobbies and no time. That's, having 3 kids, 5 and under, I guess. But my favorite hobbies when I have time, backpacking, just being outdoors, backpacking, rock climbing, I really like to play video games as well. So I do play that.
That's the nerd in him.
That's the nerd in me. That, and yeah, I like numbers and statistics and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, I like to play video games as well. And so from time to time, I do that. I did buy a Nintendo Switch for Christmas. That was my Christmas present because it's a little more portable and I can play a little more often. And then one more, I like to brew beer as well. Haven't had a chance to in a while, but I do like to home brew. We've actually got a kegerator out in the garage, so I've got 2 kegs, and we have beer on draft from time to time. It's been too long, so hopefully this summer I can break that dry spell. But anyway, I love to brew beer and experiment, different styles, different flavors. Yeah. What about you?
You're leaving out like the most important one.
House projects?
Yes.
So that's not a hobby. That is that's a honey-do list item that there's always one there. I do it so often it seems like it's my hobby.
Yes, but you do enjoy learning new things.
I do. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So my hobbies are definitely doing things around the house, like trying to just make spaces feel like home. I love decorating. I love doing little projects. I love brainstorming and designing. I love shopping for home decor, and yeah. So the last question is for Chad because we have gotten so many questions over on our Instagram about this. Which if you aren't following us, we are at House and Holm over at Instagram. But there we have been chronicling a lot of our projects that we've been doing in our home. And so many people have asked, how do you do what you do? How do you know how to completely gut and renovate a bathroom? How do you know how to build shelves? How do you know how to do all of the projects that we've been doing around our house?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a fun one to answer. So it's it's not just one thing. So I guess for me, I grew up, my dad is very handy and did a lot of the projects around the house, repairs and stuff like that. And is a plumber and pipe fitter by trade. So I learned a lot from my dad, and that's definitely what got me started. As a kid, I also like to tinker. So again, the nerd in me, I like to know how things work and why. And I broke a lot of things, taking them apart and trying to put them back together. But as a kid, I did a lot of that. Some buddies and I, we tore apart motorcycles in middle school and high school, bought old motorcycles, tore them apart, rebuilt them and sold them. And so, just getting my hands dirty and figuring out how something works, how to fix it, has always been something I've done, I guess, even since a young age. But as far as house stuff and some of the big projects that we've done, honestly, the internet is an amazing place, for good and bad, right? There's just anything and everything on the internet. And so for me, I found YouTube videos, I found blogs of people talking about how they did stuff. And I learned a lot through those, through the blogs, through the YouTube videos. Those have been incredibly helpful. I also, talk with friends or professionals even, asking how to do certain things. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's just I'm never afraid to try it. It's basically I've gotten out of my own way because so many people are afraid to do a home project or afraid to start, right? And for me, I'm not afraid to start. Let's try it. What's the worst that can happen?
Which I love about him.
Yeah. So I'm not afraid to start. When you start, you're in it and you've got no option but to do it. And I'm also a bit of a perfectionist like Sky is. And so I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it right. And so, yeah, you get into it. And there have been plenty of projects where we haven't been happy and we've redone them. Fireplace, you guys have seen. I mean, not that it was a major redo, but things we've done. And 6 months, 2 years later, we don't like it, or maybe it didn't turn out how we wanted, and we'll redo it. So, yeah. I mean, I guess that's the biggest thing. Checking out YouTube and all that the internet has to offer in the way of research for the project you're trying to do, and then just start, do it. If you get stuck, go to the internet, ask someone who maybe knows what they're doing. But yeah, I mean, we've done everything in this house, almost. I mean, stuff I
Yeah.
never thought we'd ever do, from, ripping out flooring and replacing it, German smearing a fireplace. I built a seal, sealed off the whole fireplace inside so that we weren't getting draft, up or under it. I mean, just weird things that like I've never thought of, but thanks to the internet, I guess I've been able to. So I couldn't have said the same 25 years ago. But today is kind of the golden age for DIY, I think. Yeah,
for sure. Well, thanks for answering that. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video here. We are going to finish enjoying our cookies together for a few minutes before getting the kiddos up from their naps. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please make sure you give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. It is free to subscribe, and it just puts all of our videos when we publish them right into your subscription folder, and that way you don't miss anything. So we are just so happy again that you were here with us, and we will see you next time.